This video will cover how to know when you're an ego mind. We'll explore what ego mind is, and then of course, how to identify when you're shifted into that state. To understand ego mind, we first have to understand what the ego is. So our ego is our I identity. It's all of the repeated narratives that we tell ourselves about who we think we are, our place in the world, our past, our future. They really go on. All of these narratives, of course, are based in our lived experiences, originating in childhood. However, because our ego lives in our subconscious mind, it continues to act as a filter for our current experiences, even beyond that childhood time, well, of course, into adulthood for most of us. So what is ego mind? Ego mind is a state of consciousness that we shift into when we believe that our ego, or our story of us, this identity that our ego has created, is threatened. Here are some signs to know when you are in that state of threat, or you're in your own ego mind. One of the signs is you have a strong overall attachment to your identities, to your beliefs. They quite literally become who you think you are in a very limited way. Another sign you're an ego mind is that you then have a related tendency to take differing opinions, differing beliefs very personally. Because remember, this identity, this belief, whatever it might be, is who you are. So you shift into a state of defensiveness when someone else is presenting an opinion to the contrary. Another sign that you're an ego mind is you often see yourself making constant attempts to gain love, to gain approval through external means, through your accomplishments, through awards, through displays or gestures of love from somebody else. It's an over-reliance, again, on that external validation. Another sign that you're an ego consciousness is you see yourself consistently judging or shaming or criticizing, not only yourself. A lot of times this happens in our own minds. A lot of us then extend that judgment to others, to people that we know personally, maybe even to strangers on the internet. Another sign you're in ego mind is that similar tendency to compare, where you see words like should or shouldn't in your mind. And again, or can or can't. I can do these things. This person can't do these things. Overall, it's this tendency to separate things, to be very rigid, very black and white, no room for gray. And again, a lot of thought, the tendency to be lost in thought in general, or lost in analyzation. And again, when we're overanalyzing, often what we're doing is comparing ourselves to ourselves in the past, or maybe to others around us. So how do we begin to do the work? Awareness happens when we're able to identify when we're in our ego mind. Because when we're in our ego mind, again, we're reacting from a state of threat, or what we believe to be a state of threat. Oftentimes we're saying, we're doing things that we don't really mean at our core. So the work begins when you're able to identify those moments when you're seeing your own ego mind show up in your own life. I know for me, my ego mind is still very present in my healing journey. When my resources are low, when I'm stressed out, when I'm not sleeping well, I see that same old stories in my own mind coming up on repeat, shifting me into similar states of defensiveness or reactivity. Again, not really reflecting what I really mean at my core. So I'd love to hear from you out there. Anyone who's been practicing this awareness around their ego or their ego mind, I'd love to hear when you see your ego mind most active. And also for those of you who this is a new concept, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'll be checking out the comments below.